Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure, as always. Producer Katie is under the weather this week. I'll speak eventually. So you are just going to deal with me, at least for the first opening moments. This past weekend, we had races in town. I was not at any of them. I either had to drive a long distance to Atchison, Kansas for a race, or I just had to sit at home, as the other race in town was the Diva Dash, held in Overland Park, and that is a women's only race. So I did not get to run that race because that just would not have worked well for me. But congratulations to everyone who did. I know we had a lot of listeners of the podcast who are out there running the race. And so good job out of all of you, as the weather wasn't terrible, but it is definitely warming up. We have quite the hot streak heading our way. The, what do they call it? I don't know, warm front, whatever. It's going to be really hot. Yeah, real hot. Excessive heat warnings coming up this week, so it's going to be real nasty. But for this episode, like I said, you are only going to have to deal with me for a short time, as we're about to bring in our guest. He is a returning guest, and we're going to start talking about some of the fall races that are coming up. Because if you can already believe it, we are getting close to fall. I know, like, we're getting towards the end of July right now at the recording of this episode, but honestly, fall is right around the corner. A lot of the fall races, of course, the KC Hustle Run is coming up on September 17th. Also in Overland Park, Kansas, we are really kind of ramping up. A lot of people are starting to get registered, so good things happening with that race. And as you guys know, the KC Hustle Run is, as I bit my tongue, the KC Hustle Run is the second in the Heartland 30K series. The Heartland 30K, of course, is 3. Good grief. I would start over if I could, but I can't, so I won't. 3 10Ks in a row, 3 Sundays in a row, and the KC Hustle Run is the second race. The first one is the Plaza 10K, and then the third one is what we're going to bring our guest on about. So you guys know him, you love him. This is Brad from KC Running Company. If you've done any races around town, good chances are you've done one of Brad's. So let's go grab him right now. Here we go. As the lady says, everyone welcome in Brad. Brad from the KC Running Company. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you wanted to come on and talk Heartland 30K series, and I can't think of anything better to talk about right now. So that sounds wonderful to me. So let's get going.
We've had some changes, and I want to make sure that people are aware of them, just because I'm so late in getting around to getting some of them made. And we've asked people to sign up with a little bit of a leap of faith prior to this point, but I want to at least get information out for those who are still waiting to hear. We've had this Heartland 30K series around for a number of years, and it's been 3 races on 3 10K races on 3 consecutive Sundays in September for the last several years. Earlier, we had announced that the KC Hustle Run 10K was joining the series, and is the second weekend following the Plaza 10K, which kicks it all off on September 10th. And then with the third race, was part of a bigger reorganization of our races, the KC Running Company. We had moved the Sunglasses Run out to Longview Lake Beach this summer, and felt like people probably didn't want to run at Longview Lake in July and September and November when we go back with the Eddie series. And so we decided to move the Great Plains away from that side, and it seemed like a good time to change that concept also. So we announced last week that we've got a new third event in the series, and that's the Boulavard 10K, which is down on Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard, just east of the course where the Plaza 10K occurs.
Yeah, I was looking at the map on that. You are just going, kind of right where the Plaza people turn around and head back to the Plaza. That's almost exactly where Boulevard starts.
We're just a little further east. Yeah, we're over by the Bruce Watkins Cultural Heritage Center. We have done some races over there for third parties, and I've always eyeballed what I always called the Volker Boulevard, which is now called Emmanuel Cleaver the Third Boulevard. And it's just like many of the boulevards in Kansas City, Ward Parkway, other places, Paseo, in that it's a divided with a median down the middle and trees down each side. It's residential mostly on one side and a little more commercial on the other. It runs next to Brush Creek near the start finish. And we think it's going to be a great course for the race. It's, I think, introducing a different part of town to the running community to a certain extent. And I think it's going to prove to be a great new course for people to run on. It's got a little bit of hills, and of course, I don't have any credibility at all anymore when I talk about race courses, because I'm accused of setting up courses that are much hillier than I represent them to be. But I really don't think that's the case. There is an uphill portion of it towards the middle, and then it's a really nice long downhill gradual finish. And so I think it'll be a good place to get a good time, and we think it'll be a good addition to the Heartland 30K series.
And I take it the city of Kansas City, Missouri is in full cooperation with what you guys are trying to do?
Exactly. Yeah, they were always encouraging us to look for race courses that were further east. They're feeling like certain parts of Kansas City are overused, and I would extend that to Overland Park and other parts of the metropolitan area that sometimes we find a good spot and then everybody wants to use it.
Right.
And this is a new spot, and the police department's behind it. We think it'll be a great location for both people that live in those communities that have something in their backyards, as well as folks that aren't used to running in that area and being introduced to that part of town.
Nice, nice. So have you done any other races kind of in that general area? Because as I sit here and think about it, I can't think of going that far east of the plaza.
We did one that started and finished there at the Bruce Watkins Cultural Arts Center, and it was a 5K, and it ran more through the neighborhoods. It didn't take advantage completely of that Boulevard. And we had talked to them about adding a 10K to their event, but they ended up not further pursuing their race. And so that we never got that done. It's always been in the back of my mind. I've got, gosh, a half a dozen or a dozen future race courses that I'm always juggling in my mind that might be a possibility. And when we were looking for a new place to do this 10K for the series, that kind of bubbled up to the surface, and we got pretty quick approval once we proposed it to the city. Yeah,
because really you're going to be down there, what, 2 out of 3 weeks of this Heartland series?
Well, I like to think it's different even than the Plaza course.
Okay.
And one thing I kind of like about this series, it gives participants 3 different views and 3 different parts of town to run in. The Plaza 10K has been around for a while, and most people know where it is and what the course is. And we've got 1, maybe 2 more races to run at that location on that course before the streetcar is finished and cuts right through the middle of it. And so that course is potentially going to have to change in 25. And so that's got some potential for new and different looks. And then the Casey Hustle Run, I think, is at Corporate Woods. And one of the things that I think is your job as one of the organizers, and as our job as one of the promoters, is to make sure that people are aware of that course, because I think the presumption is that it's a 2-lap course, 2-lap 10K, and it's not.
Which would not be correct.
Most people don't like 2-lap races, and so
right.
I don't want anybody not doing the race because they misunderstood the course. It's got a great out and back spur on the trail that runs north and a little bit to the east from Corporate Woods. We ran it this past weekend at the Diva Dash, and it went pretty well. I think you all are still planning on running it even differently than what we did, because you're going to be running the Corporate Woods part of it, the 5K base part of it, in a different direction than what we did. But it's a different look. It's a different part of town, convenient to different people than the Plaza course is, and then this new Boulevard 10K course, I think, will even be something different. Maybe in a part of town you've driven through but haven't stopped and looked around. And when I was out setting up the course for this other race that was in that neighborhood, I just, like I say, I thought, man, we're missing out. This is a great road to run on. It's wide. The beauty of running in Kansas City is they give you the curb to curb of the street. And so we'll be running on one side of the parkway going north, and on the other side of the parkway coming back south. So we can handle a big crowd, and we're looking forward to generating one. The I guess the advantage to registrants is of my slow organization of this race is they can still get in on the early bird price on this race, unlike the other two races that have been open a little bit longer that are in the series. And so I believe it's $38 still as the early bird discount rate since we're just in the second week of registration. The all three races are benefiting from the folks who have signed up for the Heartland 30K series, because by doing that one registration, they're now registered for all three events. And so we didn't start at 0 the first day we opened registration. We started at over 150, and that's exciting. And I think that's going to more than double between now and race day, which means each of the three events will have a good crowd. And, you know, I think that's what makes a great race, and all three races offer this, is a good wide street to run on that's closed to traffic, safe for participants, and is nice and wide for a big crowd. And so they're not going to have to worry about anything, you know, negotiating that any of these courses, and we're excited about offering it to them. Absolutely. Now, tell people who did what I have done, and they signed up for the Plaza way out when it opened up. Heartland wasn't open yet. Casey Hustle Run wasn't open yet. So they've signed up for one of the three races. What do they do now? We can get them a discount code. They just need to contact me, and they can do that through a direct message through Facebook for KC Running Company, or they can send me an email directly. What I will do is I'll go in and give them a discount for the series that's equal to the current price of the races that they've signed up for that are in the series. So if they signed up for Plaza, currently I believe it's $65, so I'd give them a $65 off code. Now, one thing I've been recommending to people recently, because I'm not smart enough to figure out how to set the pricing for the series as exactly equal to the then current total of the three races. Right. They don't all go up at the same price. Sometimes it's a better deal to sign up for the races individually and then send me an email and say, hey, Brad, can I get 100% off code so my name's in the series bucket? I want to do that. But it'll save me $10 versus signing up for the series, even with your nice discount code. So I think right now it's about a $7 savings to go ahead and sign up for each race individually. Or you can, if you're like, you know what, I don't want to jack with that, I would rather sign up for the whole thing at once, then you contact me and I'll send you what, if you did it today, would be a $65 off code, which means you're in for the whole thing for an additional $100. I believe the series right now is $165. So we're pretty flexible, and we'll always try to give you the best deal, and then you can make your own decision as a registrant how you want to do it. Maybe you don't want to bite off $100 right now. It would be easier to bite off the one of the two races that you haven't signed up for. And if so, that works great. And again, we give you a discount equal to not what you paid, but what the current price of what you've registered for. And that protects your deal. If you signed up for the Plaza at an expo at some time in the past, they got a really good deal on it, then you're going to continue to have that deal, because we're going to give you a discount equal to current price when you sign up for the series. Perfect. So really no one has any excuse not to sign up. Whether it be for the individual races or the series, it's time to get signed up. Because I know for the KC Hustle Run, as we record this right now, we're only 55 days away. It's crazy. You know, we're all busy with the summer, and, you know, this is part of my excuse, I guess, for not getting around to it. When we're busy with this weekend's race and next weekend's race and the following weekend's race, we sometimes don't take care of what's 120 days or 150 days out. And I know that some of the really dedicated and organized runners plan well in advance, sometimes way ahead of me, and they're saying, hey, time to get registration open for so-and-so race. And I'm at fault in that case. But you know, we've got a full fall schedule of races coming up, just busy all the time. It's the busiest time of the year. September and October are crazy. And we've got most of our races open through late October. I don't think we've got our Monster Dash open yet, but the Oktoberfest race is open on October 1st, and our Veterans Day race, I believe, is open. I'm not positive on that one. That's November 11th. The Yeti series, which is also another race series that's replacing the old Longview Half, is coming up the first weekend in November, and it features a 5K and a 10K on Saturday, and the half marathon and new marathon on Sunday. And the reasoning behind that, if you haven't heard me yammer on about this in the past, is we always struggled with parking with the Longview race. And so we said, okay, a 5K is a pretty busy race and a half's a pretty busy race in terms of number of registrants. And they didn't start at the same time, and that complicated things also. And so we said, what if we did a 2-race weekend or 2-day weekend, and we did the 5K and 10K on Saturday, which between those 2 races, it shouldn't be so big as to really strangle the parking situation. And also they'll start at the same time. And then on Sunday, we'll have a half marathon and a marathon also starting at the same time, and also not being as big as the crowd, unless we just have a crazy response to our marathon, not being as big as the crowd that we had in the past for the half and the 5K. So 4 races in 2 days. We've got a special, a special tease for getting people to do 2 days of racing in that setup, and the schedule kind of allows for it. If you want to do a race both on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have a special Yeti themed gift for everybody that doubles up on that, and we'll be announcing more of that pretty quickly. But we think it's going to be a fun weekend. We're still trying to work out the course. Anytime you're trying to get 26 miles of course out there, we're having to work with 3 different cities because the course, we can't get 26 miles in without going into both Lee Summit, Grandview, and Kansas City. So we're trying to work all those details out. But if you've run out at Longview before, you know it's a great place to run a combination course is what I call it, a little bit on the trail and a little bit on the streets. The Kansas City also does a great job of shutting off the road, so it's nice and wide and lots of room to run, and the trails are really scenic. And so we think it's going to be a lot of fun. We think the Yeti theme is going to be fun. We gave a sneak preview of our Yeti 5K and 10K medal today on our Facebook page. Yep. And there'll be a similar looking medal, but larger for the half and full that will be rolling out later. But anyway, lots of running coming up this fall, and we appreciate everybody's patience as we get things organized and announced.
So going back to the Yeti, did you come up with the Yeti theme because you had that freak snowstorm at last year's Longview half marathon?
No, but it's when I was back there setting up that race course the past couple of years and winding through the woods back there, I always expected to see a Yeti wandering out. We usually saw deer and foxes and coyotes and all sorts of other wildlife. And who knows, you might see a Yeti or 2 on the course this year. It's a fun place to run. And like you say, the climate is completely unpredictable. I don't think we've had the same weather out there any 2 years that we did the Longview series out there. And so it should be a fun challenge for folks who want to take it on.
Absolutely. It is beautiful out there. Anytime I'm running out of Longview for any of your races, it's always a very nice event and beautiful scenery. But something that's not going to be so beautiful is going to be this weekend at Rock Island. Are you ready to sweat off a few pounds Saturday morning?
I've got a lot of pounds to sweat off, but I'm sure I'll do it. The Rock Island Run is nice in that a large part of the course is shaded with the trees that kind of grow over the old railroad track that they use for the course. But we're going to make sure we have some different options at the water stations for people to keep cool and at the finish line. And we've got a good response to that so far. And, weather deters some folks, but there's also folks that are bound and determined to take on any challenge that Mother Nature or we throw at them. And so we think we're going to have a good crowd out there. And we've been really pleased with people's willingness to take a jaunt over to Pleasant Hill to check out this course. One thing that we are unofficially offering, but I'll roll it out to your listeners, and that is the opportunity to come early and get an early start. We didn't want to move up the start of the race earlier than 8 o'clock, which you might normally do this time of year. But given the location and how far it is from Olathe and Overland Park and parts of Johnson County where a lot of our folks are coming from, or even the Northland, we didn't want to move up the official start earlier than 8 o'clock. But we did want to offer that opportunity. So our goal is to have the timing mats all down and ready to go, and the first couple aid stations set up so that if you want to get started maybe 30 minutes in advance, then you're able to, that helps in two different ways. We're trying to keep people around the 3:05, 3:10 mark, or under 3 hours, 5 minutes, 3 hours, 10 minutes or under. Some people were a little borderline on that. Their conditioning hasn't gone as well as they'd hoped this summer. They're coming back from an injury. Also, the weather, just trying to get in and get out before the heat gets too bad. So it's an out and back course, which gives you some flexibility if things just aren't going well and you're not up to doing it. You're not 13 or 6 miles away when you've got an issue. And we've got water stations set up all along the course. And so I think if people are hydrating in advance, like you should, don't wait till race morning to hydrate. We'll hydrate in advance and get ready to go. Then we should have a good day.
I like it. Well, yeah, I'll be out at that race. And I'll tell you, that 7:30 start is quite tempting, just simply due to the heat that we're going to be experiencing this week. Yeah, because it's going to be real ugly. Can you give us any kind of a tease of what kind of shirt and medal are we looking for at Rock Island?
Oh, it's a good one. And I say that I think it's good because I designed it. It's sticking with our railroad theme. We're running on an old railroad track, and with the medal has been a different version of a Rock Island Railroad engine the last couple of years, and we're continuing that trend with one that was in a really cool color of kind of a Carolina blue engine in its original use. And so we've carried that over to the medal, and we're going with some pretty nice white tech tees with this Carolina blue logo on it that we think people will like. It's got some gray and black on it also, but it's a nice quality shirt that hopefully people will like, and this logo really pops out on it.
Nice. And where is packet pickup for that going to be this week? Because I know things have kind of changed in the KC Running Company world. So where will packet pickup be held?
Well, we're going to be at the same spot we normally are while the store has closed. And I think the word is getting out on that. The KC Running Company store has gone out of business. The space is still available to us because we're in control of that building. So we've got a more room actually. And in conjunction with the packet pickup on Friday afternoon from 2 to 6, people could come by, and we still got a few odds and ends of shirts and socks and UFOs and rollers and orange mud towels and shoes and some very limited sizes, but we got some great deals on them. And so the last two packet pickups that we've had since the store closed have been some of the biggest days of sales that we've had in quite some time at the store. So it's a little in the, I guess you got to offer some better deals than what we had been offering in the past. But even if you're not signed up for Rock Island and you're out and about on Friday afternoon between 2 and 6, stop by and check out the deals if you haven't had the opportunity to yet. We're dwindling down more and more, but we're still got a pretty good selection of things for folks. And I think we have men's shoes in almost every size left, but maybe one or two pairs in certain sizes. So and then a great deal on socks. I think we've got our socks, 3 pairs for $19.99, and some of those socks were $17, $18 a pair to start with.
Right.
And so that's a good deal. And so come by and check it out. We've got our red hooded Sunday Run Day sweatshirts that have been so popular the last couple of years, and kind of the preseason colors of the Chiefs, available for, I believe, $20. So that's a good deal on those sweatshirts. But you can also stop by and sign up for the race in person, or just pick up your packet if you've already signed up.
Yep. Well, I like it. Yeah, I'll be out there Friday afternoon. Maybe there'll be a sweatshirt left for me, but I doubt it. They'll probably take all of those. But are you guys going to keep that space at all? Or are you going to eventually be moving, or too early to tell?
Our event side is still going to operate out of the back side of the building. Our offices are back behind the storeroom for the running store, and we're talking to other folks about taking the space over and operating it going forward. So hopefully we'll have something to announce there, and hopefully it'll be something that will work out well. One of the things that having the store in the same building as our offices has offered us is the chance, if you were not able to, let's say you didn't remember to pick up your age group award, didn't realize you'd won an age group award at a race. So you could stop by, and the store had good long 7 days a week hours, and it gave you lots of opportunities to pick up that shirt that you didn't get a packet pickup, or that age group award or whatever. And we no longer have that option. And So in the short term, we're telling people if you didn't get something at the last race that you're owed, contact the office and make an appointment to set it up for a pickup, or for a small charge, we'll put it in the mail to you. But until we can figure out what the next step is in the store, that option and that flexibility won't be available.
Yeah, well, good to know. So people need to check their results before they leave the race.
Exactly. You never know. A bad part about running right now is fewer people are doing races. A good part of running right now is those who do have a greater chance of winning an age group or an overall award, I suppose. And so sometimes they don't check because they normally don't win.
Right.
And so depending on your age group and depending on the distance and the race and the size of the race, people are getting surprised by winning awards that they didn't expect to, and pretty excited about that possibility. And the last thing we want to do is not get them their award when they've worked so hard to earn it. So again, it's not impossible to get. It just requires a little more planning to get it. You can't just stop by on your way to Martin City Brewing Company on a Saturday afternoon.
Right. Ooh, boy, that sounds like a good place to go right now, except it's a little hot.
That's good transition, or whatever the right word is, to an upcoming event we have in August. The Martin City Beer Mile is coming up. It's the least serious event we have all year long, except for those that are really good at it and they take it just as seriously as a 5K or a half marathon. And that is, I believe, on Wednesday, August 16th. Yeah. And what you do there, if you haven't been to a beer mile before, you drink a beer, you run a quarter mile, you drink a beer, you run a quarter mile, and you do that 4 times. And whoever finishes the fastest in the female division and in the male division wins a prize. This year we've got a exhibition heat for those who don't want to drink the beer that we have and have their particular dietary challenges or preferences that don't allow them to participate in the regular division, that they can bring their own beverage and participate in the exhibition heat, or they can partner up with somebody else and drink 2 beers and run a half mile alternating with a teammate and have a 2-person relay. So we've got something for everybody. We're not trying to have everybody guzzle all the beer they can possibly handle. We've got lots of options, and we'll have lots of pizza available to help soak up that beer too. So it's a fun event. It's guaranteed to be pretty hot in mid-August, and we run it all there in the parking lot and on the sidewalks. So it's nice and safe for the participants, and we'll usually get 150, 175 people out for that race. So that's pretty fun.
Oh, nice. And so what is the official beer of the Martin City Beer Mile?
It's different every year. The first year I was very much a novice at craft beers, and I picked some particularly strong IPA, not having sliced that. And there was about a mutiny on my hands when we got there. They're like, we got to be the biggest idiot in the world. And so we've gotten milder and milder as the seasons have gone along. I think this is our 8th, maybe, beer mile.
Wow.
We used to do it in our old office down the street. We were dodging cement mixers and dump trucks and everything else. And so when we moved to our new location, we got a little safer course. And we'll figure out something that's good and palatable and easy drinking. I will guarantee you that whatever I select, there'll be protesters, because that's the way beer connoisseurs are. And beer milers add their competitiveness on top of that. So we'll try to do something that will appease the most folks as possible.
Yeah, don't let them talk you into getting like Mick Ultra or something that's almost water. That's not fair.
Not. Definitely not. That's not for this event.
That's right.
We wouldn't qualify for the World Beer Mile Championships, which we don't, if we did that. And so we've got to be as true as we can to their rules.
That's absolutely right. Well, I appreciate the time. Is there any races we haven't covered? We've got Monster Dash later in October. Then, of course, the one that means the most to me is the Great Santa Run. That's still good to go, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we're going to be doing that in mid-December at Johnson County Community College. We've got a bunch of runs. We got the Veterans Day 5K. We've got the Oktoberfest 5K in Martin City. We've got lots of runs and lots of good races that are going on like yours that we're helping with. Yes. That are both new races or races that are trying to take their event to the next level. So I would really challenge everybody. It's a busy season, and we certainly appreciate people that do our races, but take a look at the race calendar at kcrunningcompany.com and check out a race you haven't done before. and help an organization that maybe you're not as familiar with, because there's a lot of good races, but it's tight right now. It's tough to get a crowd at a race, and we really want these races to continue, and to continue they need a decent turnout and some indication that people are interested in their event and their cause, and that they'll come back again. So I think every time I've heard that somebody's tried out a new race, they've said, wow, that was great. I liked it. I'm going to do that one again. And so it's maybe getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, but I don't think you'll regret it.
Right. 100% correct. And everyone can start with the KC Hustle Run in September.
There you
Selfless
go.
plug.
Great idea.
Well, Brad, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It is great to have you on and hear about all the races, because that stuff gets me excited. And I know it does for a lot of the listeners too. So thank you very much for coming on tonight and talking about everything that's coming up, because it's going to be a busy fall running season.
Well, thanks so much for having us on. We'll look forward to seeing you out on the race course.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. A big thank you to Brad for coming on. I told him off air, I could talk about this stuff all day. We could talk shirts and medals and race courses and race themes and locations, and I nerd out for all of this. So a huge thanks to Brad for coming on, and a huge thanks to all of you for tuning in. So next weekend we have the Rock Island Half Marathon. I know I'll see a lot of you folks out there, which will be super cool. That'll be the only part that's super cool, because it's going to be hot. Excessive heat warnings are already in effect for this area, and so it's going to be really, really gross. I did want to mention that also coming up in August, we do have Rexy Run coming up, since we were just talking about races. Don't forget the folks in Rexy Run. I am telling everyone to get signed up and get themselves down to Lawrence, Kansas for that race. A great cause, great people. So big love and shout out to Rexy Run. That's coming up. I'll be down there running the 5K, and I hope to see you all down there. And then also you will see on our Facebook page that I set up an event right at the start of August for a meet and greet. So I would love to do a Back of the Pack podcast and KC Hustle Club meet and greet. So it's going to be at the Social Bar and Grill in Shawnee, Kansas. That's right off Shawnee Mission Parkway in Flum. Again, the event is out there. I just want to direct you to it. Please come out. Producer Katie will be there. I will be there. Our ambassadors should be there. And really just come out. Let's have a meal, have a drink if you're so inclined, talk about running, put faces to names and names to faces, and just have a good time talking about running, because I nerd out on this stuff, clearly, because I do this podcast. So make sure you check that out. I want to say it's August 3rd, but don't quote me on that, just because it's not in front of my face right now. But it is really quickly into August, so I know that's coming up. But I hope you will join us. I believe it's a Thursday evening for the first ever Back of the Pack podcast meet and greet. So make sure you look at Facebook and see if you can attend. So other than that, a huge thank you again to Brad. Please check out the meet and greet, sign up for Rexy Run, and then we've got tons of stuff just coming right along as we're chugging along through summer and heading towards fall. So this has been the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. It was my pleasure as always. This show is brought to you by OKKC Sports and produced by Katie O'Neill. And again, producer Katie, hopefully will be back with us next week, and we'll just see what happens. So everyone have a great week of training. Be super, super safe with the heat out there. Hydrate your little selves to death, and we'll see you next